Hello, I'm Mark Wogan, and this is, of course, Spooning with Mark Wogan. Today's episode is brought to you by Tails.com, the 100% tailored dog food subscription. At Tails.com, there is no such thing as average dog food, because there's no such thing as an average dog, especially my dogs. My dogs, like me, their general happiness starts with being fed properly. And that is why I am loving Tails.com for my dogs at the moment. It was super easy for me to set up my tailored food plan for both my dogs, especially Murphy, who is always known for being a little bit hyperactive and always hungry. It's great to know that both the dogs, Murphy and Misty, are getting all their nutritional needs met with their specially tailored plan on Tails.com. It also gets delivered to your door, which is a bonus. Tails.com creates personalised meal plans along with their vets to ensure that your dog's well-being is catered for, their coat, their gut health, everything. Plus, it's super convenient. It's delivered directly to your door once a month on a subscription plan. Visit Tails.com to learn more. That's Tails.com. Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. We are here in the Lindsay Room at Corrigan's Mayfair, and I will have a very special guest that I will be trying the food that they love and the food that they say they hate. And of course, they will be blindfolded. But who is my special guest this week? Well, he's known for snail porridge, bacon and egg ice cream. I mean, all sorts of things. I mean, he is what can only be described as a culinary legend. He's here to talk about a major change in his life, but we're also here to talk about things that he loves and things that he hates, food-wise. And maybe some people as well, who knows. But anyway, will you please welcome to Spooning with Mark Wogan, Heston Blumenthal. Hello, mate.
Oh, Mark,
Nice to see you.
good to see you.
Good to see you. Now, on your, everyone fills in their questionnaire before they come on, the Spooning with Mark Wogan questionnaire. And obviously, you know, yours wasn't that normal in terms of some of your answers. I'll be frank with you, you know. But one of the most normal things was you love a Negroni. So we've got one of those there for you to kick off with.
Thank you.
So feel free to do that. Now, obviously, you and I have known each other a long time.
Yes.
And, you know, but we haven't seen each other for a while. You've been off doing all sorts of things and maybe not necessarily looking after yourself in the best possible way. But let's go right back to the beginning. So you were born in Shepherd's Bush in 1966.
Yes.
That makes you... Anyway. And, you know, you sort of... Did you enjoy school? Did school and you gel at all?
I enjoyed school. I didn't do very well.
No, neither did I.
Must try harder was probably the most common thing on my school report.
Yep. Or see me was another thing.
See me.
Read, see me.
I did throw several of my reports above my wardrobe in my bedroom.
Yes, trying to intercept reports was always
Because reports they're funny. It's a conversation between the parent and the child
that neither want to have.
I'll say that again. Between the school and the parent, that the child has to deliver the conversation.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I never really, after the age of about 11, school and I didn't get on. And like you, I ended up in a kitchen as a result of it. Do you think that's what drew you towards food, was kind of not necessarily having what you would describe as a traditional path?
No, it was, I enjoyed cooking when I was a kid, playing around with ingredients that I could find at home. But it was, because one of the questions was the most memorable meal.
Yes.
And it was a restaurant I went to with my parents I was 16, so it would have been about 1984. And we used to go to Cornwall for our holidays. And my dad he had a leasing business. He did well one year. So he decided we'd go to France. And he read about a restaurant that had 3 Michelin stars. Now my parents had never been to a one Michelin star restaurant, let alone myself and my sister. So we had all had the same first time experience. And it was this restaurant in Provence. It was nestled in this bauxite valley. And all the stones looked like gargoyles. There was lavender, olive trees. There was a fountain there, gravel. I remember the noise of the feet of the waiting staff crunching on the gravel, the intoxicating smell of lavender, the overwhelming sound of the crickets. The sommelier with handlebars moustache and his test van, they were pouring sauces into soufflés, carving legs of lamb at the table. I fell down a rabbit hole, basically.
But I mean, not many 16-year-olds would have noticed all of that. I mean, I've got a kid of my own. I can't imagine him going, oh, the gravel, oh, the lavender. I can just like, oh, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
You obviously had, receptors and synapses going on from an early age that others didn't.
Yeah, maybe also because I grew up, I was born in 66. I grew up in that decade. Food in Britain was pretty awful.
Yes.
So I'd gone from holiday Cornwall, eating a Cornish pasty, sitting in the boot of an open boot of a car, coming off a wet beach, Shipham's paste sandwiches full of sand, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the contrast, I think, also played a major role. I'd never come across anything like this before.
I mean, for me, it was in a local Italian restaurant, and for some reason, and the whole table stopped when I did it, I ordered the artichoke, and it was hot butter. I think I was about 6, and everyone went, "What's he doing?" And then I had the name of the artichoke kid for about 10 years. But it's that same thing. It's like, that inquisitive mind, that sort of exploratory mind, that sort of thing of never turning down. Somebody went, "Try this." I'd go, "Yeah, okay." There wasn't any fear around food for me.
You go, "Okay, then."
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it pays off and you eat something incredible and delicious, and other times it's like, "Oh my good God, what is that? I never want to eat that." But, as we were talking before, the whole principle of this is, I believe there's no, outside of an allergy or a religious belief, there's no such thing as a bad ingredient. You can do some terrible things with ingredients, and, you fundamentally challenged, certainly in this country, people's ideas of flavour combinations.
Yes.
But you didn't start out doing that. You bought what was the Ringers in Bray.
Yep.
And I remember that because I grew up quite close to that.
You did, didn't you?
And the other thing is, when we were growing up, and obviously it was a different time and everyone's much more responsible now, was the Ringers is where you could get served in a pub underage. So my first beer was in the Ringers in Bray.
It was a dodgy pub.
It really was.
And
dodgy.
I realised when we got it, I decided to run it as a pub and learn about it. And then someone pulled a knife on someone else in the back garden, the backyard, and I decided I'm closing now. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then turned it into the restaurant.
But the interesting thing is like, how did you end up buying a rundown pub in Bray, right? Which was a few weeks ago, I had Chesney Hawkes on as a guest.
Yeah.
We were talking about that kind of whole area, and that road round the corner from the Hind's Head, and which you then went on to own, and the Ringers, which became the Fat Duck.
Yeah.
So many famous people lived within, literally stumbling distance.
They did.
But what sort of, how did you end up in there owning a pub?
Well, I was born in London, Shepherd's Bush, as you said. And when I was 9, we moved out to High Wycombe. So I went to school in John Hampden in High Wycombe. And I basically grew up, spent my teenage years in Marlow, lived in Beaconsfield.
Yeah.
So when I was looking for a restaurant, I looked all around that area, and the only reason I'd been to Bray and knew Bray was because of the Waterside Inn.
Yeah.
So
Having got a taste for Michelin-starred food.
having got a taste of Michelin-starred food, exactly, and so when the Fat Duck or the Ringers came up for sale, it was affordable. We'd moved out of my parents. Oh no, sorry. Moved out of, lived in a cottage in Beacon Hill,
Yeah.
Beaconsfield, and moved in with my parents, and then started looking for a property.
Oh, so you moved back in with your mum and dad to be able to afford the pub?
Yes.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that bit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that bit. So you end up with this pub and you start off just doing steak and chips.
Yep.
But even then, was it about doing the best steak and chips you possibly could? Because on the whole, you are completely self-taught, aren't you?
Yes, I did a week at the Memoir.
Yeah.
My first paid job as a chef
Yeah.
was opening the Duck,
Yeah.
which was a bit could have been a wonderful innocence or stupidity.
Well, there was only you to fire you as well, because, you know, when you first opened it, you were chief cook, bottle washer, server, everything, weren't you? You didn't really have any staff.
Yep.
Those first couple of years, were those hard or enjoyable? You know, if you look back now on what you've been through, were
Both.
they more carefree those times?
Were they carefree? I didn't leave the premises. I was working 120 hours a week for at least 10 years, sleeping on the dirty linen upstairs, starting work, finishing work at 2:00, starting work at 5 a.m.
When did it shift, though, from the original menu, which was steak and chips, to then you sort of exploring, and it's a term I don't think any of us really love, which is molecular gastronomy.
Yeah.
You know, but when you really started getting experimental, when did that happen? When did that shift happen?
That I developed an obsession for ice cream, which stemmed from childhood. So every Saturday, my grandmother would take myself and my sister to Church Street Market off the Edgware Road, where people were selling, it was Steptoe and Son, they were selling junk off the back of horse and
There's
cart.
still sort of a market there now.
Is there?
Yeah, sort of.
And it's the last thing you wanted to do as a kid. However, my grandmother and her friend loved it. They loved the banter with the market traders and stuff. And the payoff was on the way back. There was I think it's a photocopying shop now, but it was called the Regent Snack Bar, and it was an Art Deco ice cream parlour run by the Sicilian.
Wow. So proper ice cream.
Proper ice cream. White coats, the Sicilian ice cream scoop. They had about 6-8 flavours. But my sister and I got rewarded with a tub of ice cream each.
What flavours did you go for?
I went for coffee and vanilla.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
You know, how old? How old were you?
7.
7. A 7-year-old. I'll have the coffee ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
writing was on the wall.
walking home, not being allowed to touch the ice cream until we got home.
Hold on a second. Surely it would have melted.
No, it wasn't that. It was probably 5 minutes walk, but it felt like half a day.
But so that's triggered an obsession, a lifelong obsession with ice cream.
Yes.
And then obviously you start experimenting with the different flavours.
Well, then after the Beaumanière, I wanted to be a chef, and I thought I wanted to be a chef. What I realised now that I wanted to do was recreate the experience, my emotional, sensorial experience I had at that restaurant.
Right.
Because the Fat Duck doesn't have a bauxite glyph.
No.
And gravel and lavender.
Not a lot of lavender,
crickets.
no.
No, but it has headphones and you know, perfume bottles and stuff like that. So I started buying French chefs' cookbooks and translating them word for word with a French-English dictionary. And
like you didn't have enough to do already, but yes.
Yes, and this one of the most common recipes in these books was vanilla ice cream, but they weren't the same. The ingredients, the quantities, you know, some use double cream, some use whipping cream, some use glucose, some use sugar, whole eggs, egg yolks. And I wanted to know, and I found a book called Ices. And in the back of this book was I suppose you'd call it a Lexington, but it was a basic explanation of why you use different ingredients in ice cream, because obviously there's flavour and there's texture. So that was the first area of science that I looked at. And in 1984, when I was buying the chef's books, 1985, Harold McGee's book came out on food and cooking, the science and law of the kitchen.
Which you've mentioned many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
And in that book, he says browning meat doesn't keep in the juices. So that's when I questioned everything.
But I mean, that choice to sort of go, hold on, that statement, you know, the simple thing of sitting in the restaurant as a 16-year-old, reading that statement in a book, set you off on a trajectory that essentially singled you out in the culinary world, and put you in a kind of completely unique position. Did you notice that was happening, or was it just you were so focused on experimentation and the science of it that you sort of, if it happens, it happens, or was it just you were in the moment, I suppose is what I'm asking.
I was in the moment. I didn't have an ambition other than one day opening a restaurant.
But then you buy, quite frankly, a crappy pub in Bray,
crappy pub,
and then turn it into this, you know, world-renowned culinary destination by following that same kind of, you know, your own internal trajectory, taking your internal trajectory out and putting it on a plate.
Yes.
And you were completely alone in this country at that stage. You've had lots of people who came along and went, what's he doing?
Loads. I now look back at it after, because it's 30 years. I can now look back and see the influence that I'd had. 2 years ago, I couldn't have done that. I can do it now.
But I mean, that's interesting that you didn't notice for 30 years, you know, despite all the accolades, despite the OBEs, despite, you know, Michelin stars coming out of your ears, that you didn't realise, you know, I mean, I know how other chefs talk about you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in a glittering way, you know, but you didn't notice that because you were so single-minded, or because it was you didn't think that also about yourself.
I think it was a level of self-esteem as well.
Because, you know, I think, look, you've got a documentary out, you know, that is about your experience with bipolar.
Yes.
Okay. And how you got there is quite an interesting journey. How you got to the point where essentially you were sectioned.
Yes.
And were very mentally ill.
Yes.
I think it was, you know, knowing you a little bit as I do, you know, so single-minded, but also, you had other demons going on that, wouldn't have helped somebody who was perhaps susceptible to a bipolar condition, whether it was drink, whether it was drugs, whether it was, just not sleeping because you just kept going, you essentially drove yourself into the ground.
Basically, yes, I did.
And what's it like on the other side of that now? Is it a better place for you?
It's different. It's certainly different. I'm much more risk. I was risk averse before.
But you were to say you were risk averse seems strange because you were such a trailblazer in what you did.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But is that the right term? Risk averse. Oh no, sorry. Risk averse means I'm scared of taking risks.
Yeah.
I'm risk averse now.
You're risk averse now, I was going to say.
Thank you for that.
Exactly, I was going to say.
I was not risk averse before.
But I think that's something, you kind of, as you get, because we're within a couple of years of each other age-wise. And I think as you get older, you sort of get a bit more cautious. But I don't know, in my head, I'm still about 24.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it becomes dangerous, and you don't necessarily look after yourself properly, and you don't read the warning signs of, because if you look back at various points where you go, oh, I was doing that then, and that really wasn't good.
Yeah.
Do you have lots of points like that you look back at? I mean, I look back and think, should have died then. Probably should have gone to prison then. That kind of stuff with behaviours.
Yes, I do. But I also look back at many wonderful moments. And some of them I miss.
So what, you've started to appreciate nature now?
Before my obsession with nature.
Oh, your obsession with nature before?
Yeah.
And what? And you feel you've lost that now?
I haven't lost it, but it was extreme before.
But do you think that was because of the sort of mania side of the illness?
Yes.
That you would get just lost in things?
Because there's the hypermania band is a good place to be.
Yeah.
Then when it turns into mania, it's dangerous.
Right. And would you say then for many years you were just sitting just in that sort of hypermania thing, and that's why you were able to be so prolific and so creative?
I think so. And I think I was less risk averse then. So that allowed me to be more followed through with imagination and creativity.
Because I remember spending time in your development kitchen or the lab.
Yeah.
And just so much stuff going on in there. A lot of which never even made it into the restaurant or onto the menus because you just decided it didn't achieve the kind of level of brilliance that you thought was necessary. I remember being in there and you were making cola bottles with Jack Daniels and Coke in it, but like proper like sweets and stuff like that, and all these sort of wonderful
whiskey gums.
That was it, but they never, there was stuff like that never saw the light of day, because you were constantly in a creative process.
After 4 months, I'd give up on the much to the disappointment of the staff, though.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that was the thing. It's like, you'd come in and go, I've had this idea. You'd set yourself and the team to task on this whole thing. And then I remember at various points you go, nah, I don't want to do that. And they'd all be like, 4 months of my life to, but that was you in that sort of, hypermania state that people were, and lots of people were along for the ride as well. You know what I mean? It was like, it was, there were, I would say that there were various members of your staff who were devoted to you and what you were doing and what you were creating. It was extraordinary to watch. It was a bit cult-like, you know, but in a good way, you know, not in a sort of Waco, Texas kind of way. Now, when you're cooking like that and when you are creating like that, I always suspected you were never eating like that. Because chefs don't eat the food that people eat.
No, but also for several years we didn't have time to make lunch. So our lunch was a leftover pom puree on a piece of bread with Tabasco. Some Parmesan.
No, very nice. Very nice.
Now it's a buffet.
Oh, they get properly fed now, do they?
Properly fed, yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I remember working at L'Ortolan in Shinfield in Reading, and we would eat sugar sandwiches to keep going. Because you were doing, you know, like you're saying, you know, the idea that you worked a 38-hour week just didn't exist. You worked until chef said, we're finished, you can go home.
Yeah.
There was no like set hours. It was as long as it took. And you did eat, we basically ate crap the whole time. And as a result, now, Tom Kerridge has been a guest, Matt Tebber, various chefs over Michel Roux Jr., they all have weird things that they like to eat, right? In particular, this one here is very popular with the chef, the peperami.
Is it?
Yeah. How do you feel about a peperami? Do you like a peperami? It's got one of your favourite ingredients in it, which we have a whole bag of. Oh Christ, I'm throwing it around now. MSG.
MSG.
You love a bit of MSG, don't you?
Yeah, the biggest misnomer in the culinary world is that MSG is bad for you.
I know. Well, somebody proffered that its negative connotation may be based in institutional racism because of the association with Chinese food.
Well, apparently it came from the 80s, and a dentist was writing for a dental magazine, and he said, I'm sorry, it was late or something. I went to a Chinese restaurant and I had Chinese restaurant syndrome. And it stuck.
So it all stemmed from that one thing?
All stemmed from that one thing. And if you look it up, of all of the research papers that have been done, it's healthier than salt.
Well, it's a good way of reducing salt, because you can put an amount of salt in, and then if you know what you're doing with MSG, you put the right amount of MSG in, you can reduce the amount of salt that you have in your dishes.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is MSG in a peperami, right? There is MSG in Doritos. Where do you stand on a Dorito? I mean, I love it. I like a Dorito.
I hardly eat them.
Do you?
But not out of, I just don't think about it.
What? So
I'm not a crisp person, actually.
I've got a bit of seaweed. You like a bit of seaweed?
Oh, I like seaweed.
Yeah. There we go. We'll open some seaweed up. There's some seaweed. How do you feel about the peperami? It's not a winner, is it?
Not for me.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, but you know, Kerridge and Tebbit swear by those. You see, you're more delicate with your seaweed.
I like seaweed.
I'm going to go for a Dorito. But it's about those kind of. It's the zing that you notice once you learn how to use MSG properly in your cooking. The level that it pushes stuff up.
Yes.
In terms of flavour. It is. The other thing is, it's natural. People assume it's a chemical. It's natural.
It's natural.
Yeah. So
it's natural.
We've established that you like everything with MSG in it, right? And when did you discover MSG, and how did that relate to your cooking and your food that you produced in
Maybe
the factory?
15 years ago.
Is it that recently?
Yeah, 15. No, 25 years ago.
I was going to say.
Um,
I've got seaweed
I
everywhere.
wrote about it. I used to write for The Guardian.
Mm.
I wrote about it. And I said Chinese restaurant syndrome. And I got a letter from Ajinomoto, who are the MSG producers, telling me I was wrong. So I looked into it. I looked into the history of it and realised that, yeah, it's not the cause of the feeling of Chinese food for some people is fried fried carbs.
Yeah, it's fried carbs, or because in a UK Chinese restaurant, so much of the food is in a deep fryer. If that oil is not clean in the deep fryer, it's going to make you feel rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why people get ill. Or there's not too much MSG, but too much salt in it, so that they wake up, an hour after they've gone to bed, having eaten a Chinese meal, with a mouth like the Gobi Desert because they're dehydrated.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to do with MSG. MSG, I mean, a teaspoon of MSG into a chicken stew is game changing in terms of the flavour.
Yeah.
Whereas Sat Baines, he likes to put a bit of Marmite in everything, doesn't he? He loves a bit of Marmite.
Marmite. I love Marmite.
Yeah. Well, as I've said many times, I fall into the category of I don't mind it. I like cooking with it. I think it really adds flavour to stuff that you're cooking. Do you have any kind of special ingredient that you have always used that people don't know about? Or have you've told everything now?
I've become obsessed recently with pepper.
Pepper?
Yeah, and different types of pepper.
See, most people wouldn't notice the difference. White pepper, black pepper, but it's actually, if the pepper comes from there.
Yeah, different origins, but also when it's ground, if I could turn the smell into an aftershave, I'd wear it.
Well, if anyone can, you probably can. Pepper by Heston.
I have. I haven't tried it yet. It might be a bit uncomfortable.
Yes, don't wear it down there, for goodness sake. It'll chafe. But so I think that you've had this innate skill to look at things in a very different way. And because of what you've been through in the last couple of years, because obviously you had a major breakdown in 2023 and you were sectioned.
Yeah.
And has that affected your creativity now? Do you think that or are you just trying to rediscover a different path towards it?
I don't think I was concerned that it might affect it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's affected it very much, although there is a difference between being risk averse and not. So I still have many ideas.
But do you think it's now, I suppose you've switched from, being cavalier to more thoughtful?
Yes.
And is it a more thoughtful experimentational stuff? Because obviously when you were in that hypermania thing and the creative process with that is it's thinking and developing and moving all the time. It's that sort of, as I describe it, it's that washing machine head. It's like somebody's throwing all the ideas and they're all going, and I'm trying to catch one and hold on to it and move with it. And if I get into a position of stress or difficulty or anything like that, what happens is I can't grab any of those thoughts anymore.
Talking about those movements. One of the ideas I want to do, which will be this year sometime, is give the option of eating the menu backwards.
See, I always quite like that.
And not because if it's backwards, you just flip. The middle course stays the same, but you go starter. You go dessert, starter, main course, and flip it. And
But I mean, one of the things I like to do occasionally is I'll go and have, I would just, because I've got a very sweet tooth.
Yeah.
So I would just go to restaurants and just eat the desserts in loads of different restaurants. Or you go to a restaurant and you eat the starters in lots of different restaurants.
Yeah.
That's a lovely thing to do, that.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's before, I used to do that before they start the small plates revolution. It's my own mobile small plates restaurant. It's going there for that, there for that, there for that. But because obviously, you know, you've got this food empire now. You've got Dinner by Heston Blumenthal, which is sort of across the world now. And the Fat Duck and the Heinz Head and the Crown and all of these restaurants. Do you still have an enormous amount of input into what goes on with those, or have you had to take a step back?
In the Duck, for example, we had a tasting yesterday. So I do lots of tastings in the Duck and lots of minuscule adjustments all the time.
Because a lot of chefs who achieve the heights that you have, once they get 3 stars, they walk away and they never kind of, you know, it's like, that's it, I'm done, you know. But you stayed at it. And
I say that I felt I was becoming a hamster on a wheel a couple of years ago with the TV, the supermarket stuff, all of that.
Lucrative, but samey.
Yes, and the Duck is not exactly the most, let's say, profit-making restaurant on planet Earth. If it was run by an accountant, then it wouldn't exist.
No. But I mean, you know, because you faced, I think it was bankruptcy in that 2004. You know, when it was sort of at its height.
Yeah.
You know, it's about to go under.
I mean, it's still in a tough position, and like many restaurants now, and it's only going to get harder.
Tell me about it.
And all this stuff of what's this? That's meant to be a syringe.
Yes.
The Manjaro.
Yes, people are eating less.
They're eating less.
I sell, as you know, Heston, I sell 20-inch pizzas. That's not for somebody on Ozempic.
No,
they don't want that, you know. But I think maybe we need to find a different way. Do we do, you know, Manjaro or Ozempic friendly portions and charge the same?
I think so. I don't know the pricing, but I heard some. Mrs. told me some stats the other day that some of the airplanes will save 50 to 100 million pounds on fuel because the plane's lighter.
Yes. I mean, look, we've both been bigger people than we are now, and you know, I never got charged more to go on an aeroplane. And Heston, it is that time where I'm going to hand you the Spooning with Mark Wogan blindfold. If you pop that on, I am now going to feed you some food.
Oh.
Okay. Are you ready?
No.
It's a trust exercise.
I'm not ready.
Well, Ready or not, here I come, as they say. Now, under the first cloche, we have. Going to put that down there, and I haven't got spoons, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit off this so you can try it. And this delight was made by Simon, the head chef here at Corrigan's. Now, there we go. Open wide, here we go. Try that. What flavors have you got? What delights are you enjoying? Can you tell what it is? The man with the master palate, blindfolded, does he know?
Cucumber.
Yeah, well, you got cucumber, yes. I mean, look, it's a Mayfair version of something you said you love. I mean, do you like it? Is it nice?
I like it.
Good, thank God. You're supposed to like this one.
What else is there? Some kind of mayo.
Yes, yes. Could it be... Take the blindfold off. It's a prawn cocktail sandwich. Look, even now he's got the blindfold off, he doesn't believe me.
Oh, it's prawn cocktail.
Yeah.
I didn't get the prawn.
I definitely had some prawn in there for you.
I got the texture.
I mean, I had to bring in the prawns because they were the, slightly cheaper supermarket ones.
Yeah.
Because obviously here at Corrigan's they don't have that kind of stuff. But it is their prawn cocktail sauce.
I enjoyed it.
Yes, good. Excellent. Now, you can take the blindfold off. We're going to chat a bit more. Now, one of the things that you said you didn't like.
Yes.
Right? You very kindly brought in for everyone to try, which is this.
Yes.
Here. Tell people about this, because it is, I mean, quite frankly, when it comes to foodstuffs, terrifying.
There's 3 things that I've eaten in Iceland, and I'd put them all into the same category, basically.
Which is?
One is skate or scatter that used to be urinated on, and the ammonia would preserve the fish. I tried it on a boat, and my throat decided it had a mind of its own. I'm not having any of that, and it just came straight out again.
Yep.
I tried fermented shark. I thought I was having an anaphylactic shock, but I didn't even know what an anaphylactic shock was. But my chest tightened up. And then there was this, which is fermented herring with the guts still in them. And if you open this in apparently in an apartment block, the whole block can smell.
Yeah, we better not open that in here, because I don't
think
Richard Corrigan will ever speak to me again.
No, don't open it.
And he'll have to cancel, arguably, all of this week's bookings.
I think this is a milder one because it's not swollen so much, but some of the tins, they swell.
I'm slightly worried. It's like the edge of the tin there. It appears to be giving way to whatever is in there. I mean, some people may have seen people opening these online. I think once we've done a couple more spoons and a bit more chatting, we'll go outside and open that up.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be brave. But until then, let's put it really far away from us, just in case. I don't think it matters how far away you'd put that. You'd still be able to smell it. Like, it's one of those things. It's like, I sort of know how awful it's going to be already.
Yes.
Because what is it about Iceland and the Finns as well?
I don't know.
I just love to eat rotting fish. What's that about?
I don't think the young'uns do anymore.
No. Well, they've worked out that, there's nicer things to eat.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's like, we all just drive around on snowmobiles, drink the petrol out of the snowmobiles, and eat rotting fish. I mean, who would think, do you know what? There's a nice bit of skate. Let's wee on that.
Yeah.
And see how it tastes later.
Yeah. Yeah. It does look, the texture looks really nice.
The texture looks good.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, come on.
No,
but that's what I mean. It's like
ammonia. It's basically just tastes of ammonia.
Oh, don't. And that is such an awful. Like, how desperate for survival in the cold are you that you're going to eat that?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you've really got to question their sanity. But listen, I'm going to ask you to put the blindfold on again because I have more delights for you under this cloche here. I'm going to move this out of the way, and we are going to move to your other spoon. Ready? Are you completely blindfolded? I don't know whether you're slightly cheating there. Put it. No, you're pulling it over your nose now. Here, we'll put it that way. There we go. There we go. I can't afford for him to see anything now, as we have a real surprise and delight here for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, some of the noises may give it away. But it is classic fare, this is. Again, I'm going to cut you a little piece off. There we go. A little bit of that, get a little bit of everything in it. Oh. I got everything. Oh, I need that as well. That's an important part of the equation. Right. Are you ready, sir? Open wide. A little bit wider. There we go. Oh, there we go. Delightful, no? The height of culinary.
That tastes like a Big Mac, a burger.
Bang on. Take it off. Now, considering you haven't had one of these for 10 years, at least, isn't it amazing how unique the flavour of that is? That you just get it straight away. What do you think that is?
I think one of the things that is tarragon in their special sauce.
Tarragon?
Yeah.
You think it's the tarragon and the special sauce? Because you did a whole kind of, when you did that series about finding the perfect version, you did the perfect burger.
Yes, and I did the 3-finger rule, where everyone they put their own 3 fingers is the most that they can put in their mouth. 4 is too much, but 3 is just
you're right
number. So when you have burgers that are this big,
I don't like that.
I don't like it.
No. But that how do you think? I mean, I just find that extraordinary because you wrote that you used to eat McDonald's, but you haven't had it for 10 years.
I hadn't had. I've had McDonald's more recently. I didn't eat it. I didn't eat it intentionally. Actually, I didn't eat it.
A bit like today.
A bit like today, exactly.
But it's just the fact that the flavour is there, and the fact that like I've never even thought about the tarragon in that, but now you mention it, you go,
yes,
that's exactly what it is.
I think that's the thing that makes the big difference.
But it is unique in its flavour, its texture. I mean, I don't rush to eat it. I've got to be honest. But it is an iconic piece of food, and you are an iconic individual. And I look forward to watching your documentary because I love you. I love what you do.
Thank you.
I was saddened to hear that you were struggling.
Yeah.
But I am pleased to note that you have looked at it and are applying your same sort of tenacious thinking and different approach to this.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the next chapter of Heston
Thank you.
and what it is, because I know, knowing you as I do, it ain't going to be boring and it is going to be interesting. That is
Thank
all
you.
for this week. Big thanks, of course, to Heston, and his new show, My Life with Bipolar, is available on the iPlayer as we speak. So go take a look at it. It is a fantastic piece and a really interesting look at my friend's journey. Join me next week when I will have another very special guest here at Corrigan's Mayfair, where we will be trying the food that they think they love and the food that they think they hate. And if you like what we're doing here, you can find us across your social media platforms at Spooning with Mark Wogan, or of course on the Virgin YouTube channel, where you can see us in glorious Technicolor. So until next week, stay beautiful.